Now, EAN, or also known as effective atomic number, in very simple layman language, if I say, it is the net number of electrons on the central atom. Net how many electrons are there. So how we find EAN? We find atomic number. Atomic number, that means number of electron in the neutral atom. Actually, atomic number is number of protons, and number of electrons for neutral atom is equal to number of protons only. So atomic number minus oxidation state. So if it is plus 3 oxidation state, so Z minus 3 will come. If it is minus 3 oxidation state, Z minus minus 3 will come. So Z minus minus 3 means Z plus 3 will happen. So you have to put the oxidation state along with the sign and apply the basic mathematics. So here Z minus oxidation state plus electron gained by the ligands. So each ligand generally give one lone pair. So each ligand gives 2 electron. There is one exception here, that NO is a 3 electron donor, but again it is not important for the NEET exam, but generally is the exception only, but generally ligands are 2 electron donors. They make a coordinate bond, and as a result they will donate 2 electrons towards the central atom. Now, for example, let us find one more thing. If EAN value is 36, 54 or 86, these are noble gas configuration, then the complex is said to be stable. This is known as Sidgwick EAN rule. So let us find the EAN for VCO whole 6. So vanadium, scandium is 21 atomic number, titanium 22, vanadium will be 23 atomic number, Z, minus, as we can see, there is no charge on the complex and CO is a neutral ligand. The charge on CO is always 0. So vanadium will also have a 0 oxidation state. Plus, there are 6 CO, 6, and each one giving 2 electron, to 6 into 2, 12. So how much is the total? 23 minus 0 plus 6 into 2. So 23 minus 0 plus 6 into 2, 12. So the answer comes out as 35. 23 plus 12, 35 will come. Now, is this 36? Obviously not. So this person tries to gain 1 electron. He is trying to gain 1 electron to become VCO whole 6 minus, so that he can get the EAN of 36, which is a stable EAN. So we can understand VCO whole 6 happily become VCO whole 6 minus. He is happily getting reduced. It's a reduction reaction. And the person getting reduced is known as oxidizing agent. So VCO whole 6 can act like an oxidizing agent here. Next, MnCO whole 6, same way you can check here. Mn, manganese, atomic number 25. Then oxidation state will come 0 only, plus 6 ligand CO making coordinate bond, that means each one giving 2 electrons. So this comes out to be 25 plus 12, that is 37. And I think now you are smart enough to understand that to become 36, to become EAN 36, what he will do, he will release the electron. So he releases 1 electron. So he is getting oxidized. How can we say? You can check here, MnCO whole 6. What will happen if 1 electron goes out? He gets a positive charge. So there is an increase in the oxidation state. An increase in oxidation state is called oxidation. And the person getting oxidized, is which reagent? It's a reducing agent. One more I can say, MnCO whole 5. There is another way. For example, you are 1 electron short. You are 1 electron short of getting 36 EAN. There are 2 ways of getting it. One, you can add 1 electron, get reduced, or you can share 1 electron with another person like you. Just like chlorine has 7 electrons in the last shell. So he has 2 ways of getting the octet. He either take 1 electron and get the octet, or he becomes Cl2. That is, by sharing also his octet get completed. So when you want to increase the EAN, there are 2 ways. When you want to increase the net electron, there are 2 ways. One, by taking the electron, becoming the anion. Second, by sharing electron, and you will get the dimerization. For example, EAN here 25 plus 10 directly I can write, because oxidation state again 0, 5 into 2, 10 electron gained, 35. So if I want 1 electron more, there is one more chance, one more thing I can do, I can dimerize. So when it dimerizes, the formula you are going to get is Mn2CO whole 10. I think this is very, very clear to us. MnCO whole 5 dimerize, Mn2CO whole 10. I'm writing the formula Mn having a simple sigma bond between them, sharing the electron, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 CO on each Mn will come. 5 CO on each Mn will come. Is there any bridging CO in Mn to CO whole 10? No, there is no bridging CO. There is no CO making a bridge between the two Mn. One example I will give you to explain bridging CO. CO to CO whole 8, cobalt to CO. This is carbonyl, CO we have. We can also call it carboxy as well, no problem. So this carbonyl is having, CO is having total number 8. So here out of 8, this 2 CO, these are bridging CO. This is bridging. So CO to CO whole 8 has how many bridging CO? Answer is 2 of them. And these 2 are the example of dinuclear complex. Dinuclear means there are 2 central atoms, you can check. There are 2 central atoms, so dinuclear carbonyl compound or dinuclear complex it is. Then I'll take one more example, FeCO whole 5. So here FeCO whole 5 has a structure of trigonal bipyramidal and hybridization is dsp3. Understand the hybridization is not sp3d, it is dsp3. We'll learn this in the CFT as well, but dsp3 hybridization is there of FeCO whole 5 and it has only one central atom, that's why it is a mononuclear complex. Another example of mononuclear complex is NiCO whole 4 and it is tetrahedral in the structure. These are the carbonyl structures in your course. These are the complexes of CO in your course along with the structure. So bridging CO, no bridging CO, dinuclear, mononuclear. And this was about the EAN rule. And now I will tell you about the synergic bonding. So let's understand what is synergic bond in very simple terms. Synergic bond is a coordinate pi bond. Understand the basic. Coordinate bond means when one atom gives both the electron for forming a covalent bond. And pi bond means when there is a sidewise overlapping. So coordinate pi bond means there is a sidewise overlapping in such a way that one orbital was completely filled, it was having 2 electrons, and the other orbital was empty. So here what happened? Sidewise overlapping happened, so it's a pi bond, and both electron given by the same atom, so it's a coordinate pi bond. Such a bond in this chapter is known as synergic bonding, and the bonding is from ligand to metal. Metal to ligand. Metal will be giving the lone pair and ligand will be accepting the lone pair. But sir, you said that ligand give the lone pair? Yes, ligand will give the lone pair through sigma bond and metal will give the lone pair through pi bond. So what will happen? Metal ligand bond will become stronger. It will be a double bond character there. So let us see what the scenario is. So dekho yaar, this is metal. CO has a lone pair and he donated the lone pair, it's a sigma bond. Now metal M has a lone pair in the d orbital. So this lone pair is there in the d orbital. This lone pair and CO has an empty pi star orbital. As per the MOT, molecular orbital theory, when we write the configuration of it using MOT, we understand that bhaiya CO has a empty pi star orbital, molecular orbital of pi star is empty there. So when CO make a sigma bond with metal, what happens? The atoms come, this metal and this CO will come closer. Now metal has a completely filled d orbital and CO has completely empty pi star. So little bit overlapping they will do. So this sidewise overlapping will occur. Because of this, a pi bond will be formed, but this pi bond is not a normal pi bond, it's a coordinate pi bond, and coordinate pi bond in this chapter is known as synergic bonding. So let us understand what will happen, what is the impact of the synergic bonding. So metal carbon bond, as you can see, otherwise there was just a sigma bond. When another pi bond got made, as we have discussed already, that as the pi bond also came, a partial double bond character will come. As partial double bond character will come, the bond order of the metal carbon bond will increase. Stronger bond will be there. So bond strength also increase between metal and carbon because there is a double bond character now. So better bonding is there between metal and carbon. This kind of a bonding is there. Apart from that, if the bond is stronger, metal and carbon will come closer, so the bond length will become shorter. This is impact number one. Secondly, how C and O, this bond length will be affected here. Now, CO bond length, how it will be affected, understand. Pi star orbital is a Chadda orbital here. Anti-bonding molecular orbital are Chadda orbital. If the electron enters, anti-bonding molecular orbital, this you have read in the chemical bonding also, if electron enters anti-bonding molecular orbital, bond order decreases. Bond strength basically decreases. So now think about it, if the bond order decrease, the bonds between carbon and oxygen is becoming weaker now, bond strength is decreasing, so they will go far away, little bit far away from each other, very little far away. So what will happen to the bond length? It will increase. So the impact of metal carbon bond is that they will come closer, they will become stronger, bond length becomes shorter. But for CO bond, because the electron enter into Chadda orbital of CO, so here CO bond will become Chadda. So what will happen? The bond strength decreases. CO bond becomes weaker, so they will go a little bit far away, so bond length increases. Why? Because the electron entered into pi star, that is anti-bonding molecular orbital, and when electron enter into anti-bonding, then bond order decreases. So let us check one question. Synergic bonding will be more in which case? Simple common sense here. Imagine this metal is having a negative charge, negative. So if this metal has a negative charge, don't you think he will be able to give the electron better? Because negative charge, easily donated. If it is having positive charge, imagine the metal has a positive charge. So rather than giving the electron, he will prefer taking the electron, because positive charge attracts the electron rather than giving it. So what we understand the shortcut? If metal have a negative charge, synergic bonding will be more, because metal will be a better electron donor. Negative charge means more electron density, better electron donor. If it is neutral, okay. If metal has a positive charge, rather than giving, he will prefer taking the electron. So he will be a Chadda donor, it will not be a good donor. So if the metal is not donating electron happily to the ligand, to CO, what will happen? Synergic bonding will be decreasing. So as there is a negative charge on the metal, more synergic bonding. Use that logic here. Vanadium has a negative charge because CO is neutral. Mn has a positive charge because CO is again neutral. So if vanadium is negative, he will donate very happily the electron. And if manganese is positive, he will donate the electron comparatively less happily. So where synergic bonding is more? 1 is more than 2. So let us write the order of MC bond length. Bond length order I am asking. So if the synergic bonding is more, MC bond length is less. So synergic bonding more for 1, so MC bond length will be less for 1. Also, as the synergic bonding is more, CO bond length is more. So as the synergic bonding is more, CO bond length will be more for the first case. I think this idea is very clear to us. Now, extra information which is not much useful, but they can ask you, apart from CO, Cn minus and PR3, PPH3, these people can also be pi acceptor. So that's why CO, Cn minus, PR3, PPH3, they are also pi acceptors. They can also accept the lone pair from the central atom through synergic bond. So that's why sometimes they can also be known as sigma donor and pi acceptor. You can understand, they will donate the sigma bond and they will accept the pi bond. So they are donating the electron through sigma bond, accepting by pi bond. So donor means base. Lone pair donor means Lewis base. And lone pair acceptor means Lewis acid. So they can ask you this question, which of the following ligand is a pi acid? Pi acid means he is lone pair acceptor through pi bond. So anyone making synergic bond will be pi acid, and those pi acids are CO, most important, Cn minus, PR3 or PPH3. PR3 and PPH3 you can say, no problem. These are the examples which are going to act like a pi acceptor, hence they can act like a pi acid. So here CO is a sigma donor, sigma Lewis base, and pi Lewis acid. So here this is what we can talk about the synergic bonding in this topic, extremely important topic. Now I will tell you how to find the number of rings in a complex compound. and how to find the coordination number. Already I have told you one formula that I am going to apply now. So for example, this is the complex and I have to find the coordination number of the central atom here. That means how many coordinate bond is the central atom making. So we have to understand ethylene diamine En is a didentate ligand. Oxalato also is a didentate ligand. So basically there are 3 ligands whose denticity is 2. That means each ligand makes 2 bond at a time. So total coordination number will come out to be 6. Next question, number of rings. So for that I am telling you one trick here. Number of rings, for example, I have to find. So number of rings will be number of ring for each ligand you have to find separately. And then you have to add all of them. So number of ring for each ligand, the simplest trick I am telling you, the trick is that it is denticity of the ligand minus 1. So if a ligand is didentate, he will make 1 ring. A tridentate ligand will make 2 rings. A hexadentate ligand will make 5 rings. For example, CO, EDTA we have here. EDTA we know denticity is 6. If nothing mentioned, yes, I know. We have already discussed that EDTA has a flexidentate capacity. He can be hexadentate, pentadentate, tetradentate, all of them in different compounds. But if nothing mentioned, we take EDTA as hexadentate only. If some other information is given, then only we take tetradentate or pentadentate. So if simply EDTA is written, it is hexadentate. So denticity is 6. So number of rings, for example, we have to find here. So 6 minus 1, 5 rings it will be forming with the cobalt. Similarly, here also, number of rings I have to find for this complex. So I have 2 ligands which are didentate. So bhaiya, ethylene diamine or ethylene diamine will be making 2 minus 1 ring because it is denticity is 2. Minus 1 will be the ring number. Denticity minus 1 is ring number for ethylene diamine. And for oxalato also 2 minus 1. So how many ethylene diamine are there? 2 ethylene diamine are there. Each one is having how many ring? Each one is making 1 ring, 2 minus 1. So total number of rings will be 3. How 3? 2 are given by ethylene diamine and 1 is given by oxalato here. I can in fact make the structure and tell you. For example, CO, I have this kind of a scenario because coordination number 6, octahedral. So ethylene diamine I can make here and oxalato I can make here. So you can understand oxalato make 1 ring. This is 1 ring. This is the second ring. This is the third ring, looking like the fan maybe under which you are sitting right now. Same type of a shape is there. So this is what we can use the formula for finding the rings and the coordination number. So the trick is ring for each ligand is denticity minus 1. Now I am going to start in the CFT in the next frame, but right now let's see the assumptions of CFT from which a theory question can come. Assumption number 1 is ligands and central atom are considered to be point charges. Interaction between the ligand and central atom, ligands and central atom, they interact with purely electrostatic force of attraction, and it is a very big drawback also. Why? Because you are assuming the complex compound to be ionic in nature, because electrostatic force of attraction is between the ions, between the completely charged particles. But in reality we understand coordination compounds have a coordinate covalent bond, and bhaiya it is not a ionic, it's not an ionic compound, so it's a kind of a limitation of CFT as well. But it's the assumption they have taken that interaction is purely electrostatic. Third, all the d orbitals are degenerate. So when you make d orbital, all the d orbitals in the subshell will have the same energy. They are degenerate if there is no field acting on them. That means if there is no repulsion on them, or when the repulsion is symmetrical, that means when all the boxes are equally repelled, all the orbitals are equally repelled, in that case also they have the same energy. In simple words, until something happens, d orbitals of a subshell will have the same energy. So now I am going to go into the in-depth knowledge of the CFT part. Understand, if your CFT is good, you don't need VBT to solve any question. So just read the postulates of VBT from your NCERT, that would be enough for NEET exam. So now we have 5 d orbitals which are dx square dash y square dz square. These two lie on the axis, you can see them shape is mentioned on the board. dxy, dyz, dxz, they lie at an angle of 45 degree to the axis. So basically, because these orbitals lie on the axis, we call them axial orbital. These orbitals lie away from the axis, like between the two axes, you can say it is lying. It is not lying over the axis, so I'm calling it a non-axial orbital. The name given in this topic to dx square dash y square and dz square is Eg, and the name given to the non-axial orbital is T2g. Now understand the direction of approach of ligand. For coordination number 6, ligand comes from front, back, left, right, top and bottom. 6 ligands come. That is plus x, plus y, plus z, minus z. Simple geometry we can say. So now, if the ligand is coming along the axis, now you tell me very clearly, your heart will yell and say, if the ligand is coming along the axis, तो भैया axial orbital will be affected more and non-axial orbital will be affected less. अरे भैया, if I am dx square dash y square and ligand is coming right in front of me, so I will be more affected. And if I am dxy, I am at 45 degree to the axis, so the ligand is going from here and I am at 45 degree to him, so I will be less affected. So axial orbitals are more affected and non-axial orbitals are less affected. Simple example, let's say the ligand is coming from here. So भैया, ligand will go and kick here exactly on the head of it. More repulsions this orbital will face. Whereas when the ligand comes here, same way, it's coming at the same x-axis. When the ligand is coming towards dxy, then the lobe of dxy is not coming on the way of the ligand. So the repulsion faced by dxy, dyz, dxz will be lesser. So what we understand? This is the d orbital. They are degenerate, all having same energy. So when the ligands are coming closer, but they are still sufficiently far away, so the central atom experiences a spherical field, a symmetrical kind of a field. So d orbitals are feeling repelled, but equally, so their energy increase. And when the ligands come very close, then this kind of a scenario which I just now explained will happen, that dx square dash y square and dz square, because they are lying on the axis, will be repelled more because the ligands are coming on the axis only, and dxy, dyz, dxz will be repelled less. So what will happen? The energy will redistribute and Eg will get higher energy due to more repulsion. They are the axial orbitals lying on the axis, more repelled, and T2g will be getting less repulsion. The energy, the average energy between the two, this energy line is called barycenter, and we assume the energy at the barycenter to be 0 just for simplification. Now, Eg is 0.6 times of delta O. Now sir, what is this delta O? The energy gap between T2g and Eg, this energy gap between them is called delta O. It is called crystal field splitting energy. More splitting, more will be the delta O. Sir, what is this O here? O is octahedral. Similarly, if I write for tetrahedral complex, I will write delta T here. For square planar, I will write delta SP here. So right now we are talking about coordination number 6. So I am writing delta O here. Eg will be having plus 0.6 delta O of energy above the barycenter, so positive. Below the barycenter, because barycenter is having 0 energy, as our assumption is there. So below the barycenter, minus. How much minus? Minus 0.4 delta O. So T2g has minus 0.4 delta O energy and Eg has plus 0.6 delta O energy. Chaliye bhaiya, now let us see one thing. We have CFSE, which is crystal field stabilizing energy. People confuse between the two here. This is crystal field splitting energy, delta, and CFS is crystal field stabilizing energy. What is crystal field stabilizing energy? If I am the central atom and I make a complex, the extra stability I get by making a complex is called the crystal field stabilizing energy. So if I have two options, I can make a simple compound, I can make a complex, then the extra stability, the extra leverage I get for making this complex compound, that extra stability I get for making it is called the crystal field stabilizing energy. Chaliye bhai sahab. So now we are talking about the fate of the fourth electron. Bhaiya, very nice sweet topic it is. See what happens. Fate of the fourth. What does it mean? See, when the electrons are filled, now we will fill the electron here. So when I fill the first electron enters into T2g. Aufbau principle is followed, lower energy orbital is filled first. Then second one is filled here, then third one is filled here. So when the first 3 electrons are filled, there is no problem because we have the lower energy orbital T2g, there is no problem at all. But for the 4th electron, there are 2 options. You can understand there are 2 options. Option number 1, imagine 4th electron is very smart here. He's as smart as you people are. So you will also think along with the 4th electron. So if you are the 4th electron, you have 2 options. Option number 1, you can pair at T2g. You can pair here. And when you are pairing, obviously these 3 electrons, they will try to repel you. So what will happen? If you want to pair here, some pairing energy will be required. Especially when you have a box which had only 1 electron and now you are going to enter in the same box. So you can understand here the repulsion will be more. So some pairing energy, some extra energy will be required to pair there. So understand, if you are the 4th electron, you have the second option that instead of pairing here, you can go to Eg. So if you want to go to Eg, you need extra delta O energy to jump up. So being the 4th electron, you have 2 options. Either you can pair at T2g or you can jump at Eg. What will you do? Sir, whatever is easier, we will do that. So in the same way, 4th electron says ki bhaiya, if delta O is more than P or if delta O is less than P, in that case I will decide my next course of action. That means, sir, if delta O is more than P, that means pairing energy is lesser and jumping energy is more. So why will I jump? I will pair. So it pairs at T2g. So if the delta O is more, that means the splitting is very, very high. Splitting is very, very high, so that it becomes more than the pairing energy. So electron, instead of jumping up and going to Eg, he will prefer to remain in the T2g and pair there only. Secondly, if delta O is less than P, simple hai yaar. If for pairing we need more energy, so why will I pair? I will go up. So what will happen? Electron goes to Eg. So bhaiya, 4th electron does whatever is the job easier. If delta O is more, he will pair. If delta O is less, he will jump. So if jumping is easy, he will jump. If pairing is easy, he will pair. So then in which condition delta O will be more, in which condition delta O will be less? Simple yaar. As I said, if the splitting is more, then delta is more, na? Who is doing the splitting? Why the splitting occurred? Because the ligand came. So if a strong ligand came, huge repulsion he is doing, so the splitting will also be more, na? So if the ligand is strong ligand, we can call it strong field ligand. If we have a strong field ligand, what will happen? The 4th electron will pair at T2g, and if we have a weak field ligand, then the electron will not pair at T2g, he will go to Eg. So the 4th electron, understand, up to D1, D2, D3, no problem. SFL, WFL, no problem. 4th electron onwards, if you have a strong field ligand, then the electron pairs because the splitting becomes higher than pairing energy. And if the ligand is weak, then delta O is lesser. That means going to Eg is easier as compared to pairing. So this is what is going to happen to the 4th electron. Let's continue with the story.